Now let's get the view from Washington and speak to Sally Ayhan. Sally, good to see you. Tell us how Donald Trump has reacted to everything that's coming out of Iran and what the mood is there in the US.
Well, I think the mood currently in the US is the fear of the unknown. There were protests right across US cities on Saturday, mostly against the decision to assassinate Soleimani and the decision to send thousands of more troops to the US, to the Middle East rather. So there is a fear that there could be an outright war between the US and Iran, but there's also skepticism, not just around the way Iran might react and retaliate, but also about how the US president might react in a time of crisis as well, given the threats that we've already heard. There's a concern that President Donald Trump's erratic behaviour might lead to some dangerous consequences. And some lawmakers have outright said this, stating that this is an unstable president in way over his head. We also heard from presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren responding to President Donald Trump's threats around targeting 52 cultural sites there, stating that you're threatening to commit war crimes. The American people do not want war with Iran. The way that President Donald Trump's administration is responding to this, though, is that this is simply partisan pushback from people that were allies to presidents before him that were too weak to go up against America's allies. And some are even going so far as saying that it's actually President Donald Trump's unpredictability that might actually deter Iran by seeing this man as someone who's willing to do whatever it takes, and it might stop short of actually retaliating with too much harshness. We know, of course, that Trump's aim was to try and stop a war, not start a war. That's his very words, and to try and get Iran to sit down and negotiate a brand new nuclear agreement. But at this point, that seems quite unlikely.
And Sally, Congress is back after the holidays. Tell us, how is Iran affecting the conversation around impeachment proceedings now?
Well, we heard from Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer over the weekend pressing the White House to release some of the intelligence around this decision to assassinate Soleimani. They want to understand the real reasons behind it. Of course, the US president has said that he did so because American lives were at stake. But at the moment, there's some real questions swirling around the legitimacy of that response and also the legality of this as well. Congress say that they needed to be consulted and in on this decision making, and that there could be some legal argument for the case that they weren't so. And now, of course, that Congress is back in session, Nancy Pelosi has sent a letter to House lawmakers to say that they need to act quickly this week to try and get legislation, at least by Thursday, to try and stop President Trump from taking any more action against Iran. But what this has done in terms of the impeachment proceedings is add an extra layer of volatility. So you have the Republicans suggesting that there's a new line of defense for President Donald Trump and that we need to not impeach this president or move forward on impeachment proceedings because he needs to act and protect this country's national security. But Democrats are saying, well, this is the very reason why we've wanted to impeach the president, because his behaviour and his international foreign policy is so unstable and so erratic, and this is how we got into this mess in the first place. So at this point, Congress is trying to measure how they can have checks and balances on an increasing presidency, and a president who has a lot of support in the Senate.
Sally Ayhan in Washington, thank you very much.